Zaius, where they kind of do this crazy zoom in on Zaius, as if to say, that's far enough. Here's my prisoner.
I do want to point out, because I've talked about Amazon's notes before and how great they've been. They have one that's incredibly wrong. I spent more time on this minute trying to see if it was right. The note was that it was a gaffe because the stump that Zaius is tied to changes multiple times. They're wrong.
I didn't see the stump changing. It looked like they tied and untied his neck every now.
That may be. So I literally, I would guess that I spent 15 minutes with this minute just going back and forth, looking at the stump. And so the stump has a big crack behind his head, a big knot over the shoulder. And I would seriously pause it to look from the reverse angle. Now, from the reverse angle, obviously, when you have a stump that kind of gets crooked, it looks different. But then you can just a little bit see the crack. Then you can see the little
Richard's
knot.
Watching while you're talking about all this. I don't think he's seeing any stump changes.
I never could find one, and I watched it and watched it and watched it.
Is it possible that actually happened, but in the final edit,
they
cut the stuff out?
They never took those.
That could be where maybe they pulled that from a book or something.
Anything is possible.
Everything is possible. I couldn't find it. Their notes are usually pretty spot on, but there's your zoom.
There's that zoom. Yeah. That zoom. You're like, what?
Yeah, what?
So Lucius comes around. The horse comes around. It's got the provisions on it. Taylor starts to walk towards it, and then you see kind of up on the cliff the 5 other gorillas on horses kind of come around. And then there's this moment from their point of view where you see it kind of is like, whoop, zoom in on Zaius, and it's very odd. We haven't done a lot of those kind of zoom moments.
Oh,
yeah, that's...
Actually, we have had quite a few zooms, and it may have been before you joined in.
Before you joined us, yeah.
There would be like, in the very first of the film, before they did the whole fruit basket swimming scene, you would hear...
Walking the desert, yeah.
They would hear things, and all of a sudden the camera would zoom to a tree. And it was like, what?
Nothing there.
Why is that on that tree? And then you would hear something else, and it would zoom to another tree, and then they would go. And it was like, what the hell's this zooming shit? What? But zooms, in-camera moves through the lens were very prevalent in the 60s, and they stopped in the 70s with...
when they actually physically moved the camera on track.
Right, when you got people like Scorsese and Coppola who came in with a classic sense of cinema, they took away the zoom. Now, you'll still see zooms a bit. Spielberg used it.
They'll use it for cinematic
and Jaws
effect,
and things like that, but it's very rare.
It's
a deliberate effect.
Yeah,
right.
It's an unusual, intentional, like, we're moving in so you can focus on this one moment because this is how we're going to tell that part of the story.
Zooms just always, they don't allow you, they don't feel like you're walking toward a character, they feel like you're being propelled.
It doesn't feel as if the camera is the person and moving closer to him. It feels as if the camera is somebody pulling up binoculars and
exactly.
moving closer.
And you're suddenly
without moving.
in on something.
One of the things
you're getting closer without moving.
One of the things we talk about, because we did a web series for a little while called The Variants.
Where can you find that online?
TheVariants.com.
There you go.
So anyway, but there's also these times where you wanted it, you took a wide shot and you realize you need a tight shot, so you need to do kind of this digital mechanical zoom where you actually force a zoom in on an object, but you can't necessarily do it based upon the resolution of the video.
It doesn't increase
quality of the video, things like that.
Which is what a zoom does in a camera. It doesn't increase the resolution or anything.
And there's a lot of moments in editing choices where you're like, well, we'd like to move in, but we can't really do that. So we're hopeful that people kind of pick up on what we want to show them. It'd be nice to make a digital kind of tight on something, and you can't do it once you've actually shot in that wide.
And that's what you get with a zoom with film, that you see somebody far away and you're showing them bigger, but you're also showing that they're still far away, versus when you actually move a camera to be closer to someone, that makes a person bigger, but you're physically closer.
Yeah, but this is actually like a script moment.
Yeah,
and this can work because there's
a digital zoom at this moment. They're actually physically making this zoom.
And this can work because there's that shot in The Graduate where, for what you're exactly saying, you want to show how small they are, that the camera actually zooms, and in that way it works. But 9 times out of 10, it feels like we all, like you said, Sean, can pick up a pair of binoculars and
get closer,
zoom it, and we know that that's forcing it. But when you actually track a shot, it feels like I'm doing something to engage into the shot.
Right. I mean, this is very much spy movies.
Yeah.
Like when you're actually from the perspective of the agent or whatever, and you want to see them kind of focus in on something, it works. For something like this, it's just kind of, well, that was sudden and random.
Which, there's even, we're going to have be Zoom talk here. Attack of the Clones has a zoom moment in it.
You've gotten to a different Star Wars movie than me. Well, go ahead.
But Attack of the Clones has the moment in the end where there's a battle and the camera pans and then it zooms in. But what he's obviously trying to do is to evoke the newsreel footage from the 1960s of Vietnam where they would do stuff like that. And that's very, if you think back at the classic Star Wars, he wanted to make that like the newsreel, the dog fights and all that. And he would actually use that as a stand-in until they did the special effects.
And here, I'm thinking Star Wars Episode 4 when they're when C-3PO and R2-D2 crash into Tatooine, they have lots of big, I'm sorry, there's an ambulance going by, making sure they
hope everyone's okay.
When they first crash into Tatooine, you get a whole lot of big, long shots of them in the planet. But then when they talk to each other, you get a little closer,
right?
And so
but those are cuts.
Yeah. So, but you understand that they're in a desolate place because it's a big shot that you zoom in a little bit to, versus being close to them when they're talking to each other.
Right. It's just a very antiquated, approach to filmmaking that we just don't see too much anymore.
Right.
And it's
very jarring. It's very jarring.
For all the filmmakers out there, don't use
Quentin
zooms.
Tarantino do a zoom very deliberately.
I was going to say, very intentionally.
To evoke an older feel to him, maybe.
Right.
Do we like Tarantino right now?
Right now.
Because of what we read recently?
Yeah.
Well, did you also see? So what you're referring to is that Uma Thurman came out and kind of alluded to that Tarantino put her in some precarious situations.
And were they related to Weinstein? That's what I didn't quite understand.
Well, she came out today with another release that said, "I do not blame him. He is my dear friend." And she wanted to clear that up. She said, "I think this has
just
gotten
a dick for putting her in a car wreck potentially."
Yeah, I think she was just saying.
I didn't follow the train that it was like related to Weinstein, related to.
I found that very odd, but then when you actually read the article, it talked about that she was more upset about what happened while filming a scene than it was so much that she blamed him at all for Weinstein. Can we just agree on that Weinstein's a piece of shit?
Yes, there are a lot of people that are pieces of shit.
No question.
Yeah, but I mean, good Lord, that's an abuse of power that goes above and beyond. I guess if you're going to abuse power, you might as well do it the best you can, but good Christ.
If you're going to be a shit, you might as well be the best shit that you can.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, as I hit the mic. Pink!
Sean's the shit for hitting my mics. Okay, is that it, my friend?
So we kind of end on that Zoom? Is that the moment that we...
Yeah,
how do we
pretty
end on
much.
This?
He is the harbinger of death, and we got to zoom on
Taylor's inspecting the thing, and then Zira kind of walks up to him, and then we get into dialogue.
Wait, hang on. Right? Zira's expecting a thing, and we kind of walk up. We already know that she's very lonely. What is she inspecting?
Sorry. Zayas is inspecting the horse.
That's what an animal is called, a horse. I'm confused what you're looking.
Wait, how do you end this minute on? What happens?
It ends with Lucius saying, "What?" So, you tell me where we end.
I think Richard just said, "What?"
Lucius say what?
So, is there anything else that you guys have?
All right, I'm done with this minute of the Apes.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Great. I'm golden.
What a great episode.
Super.
Okay, so I promised last time I would say this. Go to minuteoftheapes.com. You'll find all the links to our social media, plus our email, anything that you want. I haven't said it this week. I look across at Sean. He's got his Rick and Morty hat on.
Keeps my head warm.
He's a little bit sad right now because he hasn't gotten an email in a while.
I have.
Now, we did get a direct tweet today. We're starting to see some of that. We're very excited about that. Yeah.
What happened in it?
We had someone when we were confused about the dates of release. We had 2 dates of release for the film. One was for the New York release. One was for the wide release. Which Films in '68 would have done that.
Big,
premiere. We got corrected.
We did. I hearted it because I was like, "Thank you so much." I was excited that our fans are letting us know. That's a great observation. They don't do that too much anymore with big films. They don't have soft and wide releases.
Polite with the tweet.
Very polite.
Good.
Couldn't have been more polite if we asked for it.
Okay. Dearest followers of my Twitter, on this day, while I sit by the campfire,
so
dream about
as Sean picks at his beard, I don't know, what do you call that? We're both bearded. What do you call that? The bearded people always play with it.
This is a Van Dyke. If you don't have a mustache, it's a goatee.
I call it a fad.
Hey,
you call it what?
A fad.
What? Having a beard?
Lucius.
You know what I call? What? I call that I have had this shit for about all my life, and I'm glad that finally people are like, okay, that you grow it, and they don't say shit about it.
I call this 25 years old is what I call it.
Once a year I have this. Anyway, no one wants to hear about beard talk.
Anyway.
Beard talk.
I'm signing off for beard talk. And so for Rich and Sean, I'm Todd. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. All
right, so at this point, Taylor actually remembers Nova's name.
The minute of the Apes.